Hello, Sonia here. Today, I want to talk to you about change, anxiety, and how to know the difference between your thoughts and your actual intuition. So, if you follow me, you'll know that I have undergone massive changes in my life this year, which were all completely unexpected. I moved to New Orleans when I thought my boyfriend was going to be moving to Paris. I uprooted myself from my community, from my friends, and from what was my support system to move somewhere that was completely new, even though my intuition told me that it was right. And the interesting thing is when I decided to move to New Orleans, I got a lot of pushback from a lot of people, including my own family members, who were like, why are you moving there? Like, why are you doing that? And it was interesting because my head went into massive scramble. It was like, am I right? Do I know what I'm doing? How do I even differentiate if this is the right or the wrong thing? And it would just flood me with all of these different emotions and anxieties that would oftentimes confuse me as to what was my intuition and what was actually the subtle promptings of my heart that told me what was true. Now, the thing is whether you're dealing with a big move or a change or whatever, a lot of times when we're in change, we deal with anxiety. It's something that's completely normal. And a lot of times when my clients come and show up to me, they know that they need to make a change in their life, but aren't necessarily sure how to do it or even sure if it's their head or how to even begin. And that can also cause massive amounts of anxiety. And when we're in anxiety and fight, flight, figure it out, we are completely disconnected from our intuition, from our authentic selves, and from our personal place of power. Now, the first thing is that, our heads evolutionarily have been designed to try and keep us safe. Way, way, way back in the day, there were tigers and saber-toothed lions and warring tribes and all of these things that really program something called our limbic nervous system. And our limbic nervous system is like the reptilian part of your brain that goes into fight, flight, freeze, and figure it out. And so nowadays, we don't have as much of a use for it. And so a lot of times how that part of our brain ends up showing up is anxiety. And what it likes to tell you to do so often is to play it safe, keep it small, stay comfortable. And the other thing is that we know in our hearts that our growth edge, where we decide to get out of that comfort zone, is not only where we grow and change, but is our place of real personal power. Now, for me, and moving to New Orleans and deciding that this was the right thing for me, I had to really work to get underneath my head in order to connect with my heart to resonate what was true. And so the first tool that I use and tell my clients to use all the time is the power of your breath. Interestingly enough, when we are in anxiety or when we're anxious or feeling ungrounded or even like flooded with feelings, the first thing that goes is our breath. We end up breathing up here in our shoulders and cut off from our deeper belly breathing. And when we're in that space of here, we are cut off from our intuition and we're just in that fight, flight, freeze, figure it out. So one thing that I always would have to stop and do is just remind myself to breathe. And even just taking a few deep belly breaths. And really even trying to expand your rib cage. Imagine your rib cage can move north or south or east or west, and doing east-west breathing. It's a really great way to start to re-ground. Second of all, the other thing that I had to do was empty the garbage. Emptying the garbage is an incredibly powerful tool because basically what it does is it empties out our head of all of those thoughts that are a bunch of blah, blah, blah. It's like for me in moving to New Orleans, it was like, well, I'm going to be stuck. And what if I don't like my apartment? And what if I hate New Orleans? And what if I have no choice? And what if, I'm not able to make friends? And what if I hate it? And what if I need to run away? What if blah, 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 blah. Just fill in the blank. And obviously a lot of times there's a lot of things to be filled. So you can put a timer on your phone for 5 minutes and just talk out loud of all of the things that are running through your head. So often we think that a way to get grounded again is that we have to fight our anxiety. We have to fight our brains as a way to get grounded. But guess what? That is a losing battle. You're not going to win against your monkey mind. Our minds like to think about things all the time. And sometimes Also, because we're constantly thinking things and there are constantly thoughts that come into our minds, it's hard for us to sometimes differentiate between what is intuition and what is just our feelings. This brings me to tool number 3. So after emptying the garbage and saying it out loud, I say this all the time, the power of our own voice. When we give voice to things, we can start to feel and what resonates as true. Not what's right, but what's true. And the way that I liken it all the time when I'm talking to my clients about these things is, imagine if you have like a crush on somebody and you're overthinking it and you're like, can I do this or this or this? Then you start to talk to one of your friends and you can sort of like feel what's like actually true and like what's just like a bunch of your own blah, blah, blah. That is the power of your own voice. And because we are naturally intuitive beings and we pick up on resonance, we work on vibration, we have the cochlear, the inner ear, it helps us to be able to say and feel in our feeling bodies what actually resonates and what doesn't. And for me, when I was doing this exercise, I really felt that my biggest thing was I was just scared of the unknown. I was scared of being disconnected. I was scared of making the wrong choice. This is another really big thing that I see so often, not only with my clients, but even in my own life. We have grown up in this system that really likes to make us believe that there is a right and a wrong. And if we make the wrong choice, what's gonna happen is we're gonna be punished by God or the universe or whatever. But in reality, the universe will show up to support whatever it is that you decide to do. It's not, your mean old school parent or teacher or that authority figure that's going to somehow yell at you. That's not how it works. The universe is there to be support. So whatever it is that you decide, you can trust that you will be caught, that there will be another place on the other end. And at the same time, that it's like when you make a decision, oftentimes we think of our decisions as static, that they're these things that all of a sudden then we can't make new decisions. But the thing is you make one decision, and if that decision doesn't work out, then you can make another decision. So even for me in moving here, I was like, well, I had to just like lay it out for myself, where I was like, if this really doesn't resonate with me, then I'll change it. Not a big deal. I can do something different. Also, another way to start to tune in and even start to recognize what is our intuitive voice is paying attention to how things make you feel. We get so disconnected from our feeling bodies, and it's not something that we pay attention to. A lot of times people don't even know how it is that they feel. Instead of telling us how it is that they feel, they tell us a thought. It's like, how are you feeling today? And it's like, well, I had a busy day at work. And it's like, that's not a feeling, that's a thought. Maybe you feel stressed or upset or whatever. But if we can start to get back in touch with our feeling bodies, our bodies are where we pick up on our intuition and it resonates. And so if we can be connected here, we can know what is intuition and what's a lot of blah, blah, blah. And in doing that, we start to really take back our own power. The thing about intuition, even if it's not the message that you expected to get, is that it's grounding and reassuring and nurturing. It makes you feel like almost like you've been wearing a pair of pants that are too tight after like eating a giant meal and taking them off, and you're like, this feels so much better. And that's the same thing that intuition does. That's the same thing how intuition makes us feel on the inside. A lot of times we have our high intellect, which is the part of us that has all of like the spiritual information. And a lot of times its favorite word is should. Pay attention to the word should. Don't should on yourself. It's the worst. Because should is just another word for a secret shame. And most importantly, if you're dealing with anxiety while in massive transition, first of all, start to meditate, one of my favorite tools, and practice being compassionate with yourself. Practice giving yourself a little bit more internal room. A lot of times we find that being hard on ourselves is a really great way to motivate ourselves, but it's not. And if we can start to soften those edges and give ourselves more space, more room to breathe, there's a lot more space for our intuition to get connected. And another really quick thing, if you're really struggling and your head's going real crazy, go exercise. raise that heart rate, put on a dance party in your apartment, do something to get back into this grounded physical container. So I hope that video helped in helping ground out some anxiety and making change. Check out our website, soniaandserena.com. Check out the freebie page, get our newsletter, and sending you all my love. Bye.